Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Bible Study Minute. Today we're taking a look at John chapter 11 and Matthew 21, verses 1 through 13. And what we see happening in John chapter 11 is the death and resurrection of Lazarus. Now, Lazarus was a good friend of Jesus, and he is also the brother of Mary and Martha, who we are familiar with in Scripture. And so Jesus receives word that his friend Lazarus is sick, and Jesus, knowing what God's plan is all along in this, he knows that Lazarus is going to die and God is going to use this for his glory. So he decides to stay where he is for a few days, and then he decides to head down to Bethany, which is only a couple of miles from Jerusalem. And the disciples are kind of concerned about this because last time he was in Jerusalem, the Pharisees had tried to stone Jesus. But Jesus doesn't really care. He's like, we're going, and this is what God is sending us to do. And then he gets to Bethany, and we see something happening. We see the reality of death. We see sisters mourning, even though they understand Scripture and know that at the last day, Jesus is going to resurrect people, and they're going to be with God and live forever with God. And so the sisters know this, but they're still mad with Jesus. They're upset with him because they know that if Jesus had come, that their brother would still be alive. And because Jesus is also good friends with Lazarus, he is also mourning his death. He literally cries and weeps while he is there when he sees the tomb that he has been laid in. But then he does what God calls him to do. He raises him from the dead. And then, of course, we see the response to this, which is that some people believe, and then some don't believe, and they run to the Pharisees, and as a result, they devise a plan to kill Jesus. And this kind of reminds us of the rich man and Lazarus, the story that Jesus told, where the rich man wanted to send Lazarus back so he could speak to his brothers, and Jesus in the story is like, they have Moses. Even if a man comes back from the dead, they're not going to listen to him. Well, this is exactly what happens in the rising of Lazarus. People still disbelieve, and as a result of this, they want to kill Jesus. And then over in Matthew, we see the triumphal entry, where this is leading into the Passion Week, which is Jesus' final week before he is crucified on the cross, and he triumphantly comes into Jerusalem. But the emphasis really here today is looking at John chapter 11 and what we see happening surrounding the death and resurrection of Lazarus. And it shows us more than anything that God can relate to our pain. Jesus understands suffering and the suffering that we go through. He understands loss and pain and death. And because of that, we can trust him more, and we can lean into him knowing that he understands our suffering. So that's what I want to leave you with. And also just knowing that, like Romans 8:28 tells us, that God will work all things together for good for those who love him and are called according to his purposes. And we might not understand why we're going through things or why God allows certain things to happen, but we can trust and know that he is allowing them and going to use it for our good, even if the situation itself isn't good, like what we see here. So that's what I want to leave you with today. And until next time, grace and peace.